Hi, everybody. My name is Valter Slapadelli. I'm just trying out something new. I haven't ever really done content like this before on YouTube. What I do often do is go on Twitter and argue with people. I just about politics. I do it while I'm watching the news. I do it while I'm at work. Um, and oftentimes, the exchanges I have with people are baffling and hilarious. And because of that, I've decided to put them together in a little video that I'm going to call Twitter Discourse. Um, because I think it's funny. Sometimes I take a lot of screenshots of the encounters with people and post them on Facebook, and people think it's funny. So I figure, why not? Something new for the old YouTube channel. So today, the first episode, or whatever you want to call it, that I'm going to do, um, is going to be about ICE, Immigrations and Custom Enforcement, because there are people on the internet who pretend to be for small government, for limited government, for individual liberties, and then they support ICE, a secret police force that acts extrajudicially, that acts in secret, that kidnaps families, that breaks people apart, that runs literal concentration camps. I mean, that's the reality of it. And so it's the same type of people who say, "Oh, we want small government. We don't like, you know, free healthcare because that's big government." But we're perfectly okay with concentration camps and with police forces rounding up people based on where they were born and the color of their skin. Um, so let's do a quick little tiny bit of history about it. Uh, this is from Wikipedia. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement was formed under the Homeland Security Act of 2002 following the events of 9/11. With the establishment of the Department of Homeland Security, the functions and jurisdictions of several border and revenue enforcement agencies were combined and consolidated into ICE, and it is the largest investigative arm of the Department of Homeland Security. And so, by definition, that is big government. It's a big government organization. So that's the line that I've been taking with these conservatives lately, because they're always the ones who come at it like, "Oh no, I'm just for limited government. I want small government." But my perspective, as a left winger, is that people who want free healthcare are actually for smaller government, because oftentimes those are the people who support drug legalization, who support legalizing prostitution, who support legalizing or keeping abortions legal, who support ending the drug war as a whole, closing prisons, de-arming the police, and getting rid of organizations like ICE. So, um, and we're always the ones accused of wanting big government, communism, all that kind of stuff. So, um, this is from earlier this year when people were chanting send her back" to Trump at a Trump rally, um, from at about Ilhan Omar, um, someone who I think is one of the best people in the whole government. And people are just super racist about her. She says things that are true, things that are very honest. She speaks out against the wars. She calls out the government for bending to the will of big lobbyists and big money interests, in a way that most politicians just don't do. You don't see that very often in the government, and it's really nice to see. But because she is a woman of color and a Muslim and immigrant, people really don't like it when she said stuff like Israel's paying off the government and things of that nature, even though it's true. And she says the same thing about Saudi Arabia. So I mean, it's just a matter of principle. So here we have Justin Amash saying, "A chant like 'send her back' is ugly and dangerous, and it is the inevitable consequence of President Trump's demagoguery. This is how history's worst episodes begin. We must not allow this man to take us to such a place." And then small government responds, "If Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud, then a chant is the least of her concerns." So to which I chimed in. Here we have small government for all supporting big government deportations and concentration camps. To which so this is always the pushback that people give. Oh, the Democrats did it too. The Democrats did it too. Yeah, yeah, fuck them too. They're not good people. I mean, I don't support Obama. I don't support Bill Clinton. People who put kids in camps and bomb people overseas, I don't support them. So, I'm not a Democrat. So coming at me like, oh, the Democrats, it's not going to work. So this guy, proud American, um, this woman, proud American, says Bill Clinton signed the law that put kids in cages, which not really true. Democrats crafted the law. Those kids and their parents are free to go back home or stay until their court dates, which is also not true. They are held because released they disappear and refuse to show up for court dates. So were they allowed to leave or were they not? That's which I responded, cool. Fuck Bill Clinton and anyone who supports ICE or concentration camps. I'm not a Democrat, and it was George W. Bush who created ICE in 2003. I said, you're supporting big government, rounding people up based on birthplace and keeping them in camps with no due process. Never pretend to be for liberty ever again. There's no excuse for supporting concentration camps. All of them are abhorrent. None of them are valid. But Democrats also did it has got to be the weakest, most weaselly excuse of them all. And I really mean that. I mean that that is always their go-to response is that, oh, Barack Obama did it too. And it's like, yeah, I don't like Barack Obama. I consider him a fascist who ran concentration camps. So I said, if you think I support the Clintons or Pelosi or Schumer, then you're not going to go far arguing with me. There's no government means no, small government means no laws, says the smoking pope. To which I responded, there's nothing in between no laws at all and secret police rounding up people based on origin of birth and putting them into concentration camps. ICE is big government, and you're a hypocrite. And the fact that none of them at this point were able to come up with anything other than that, it's pretty telling. And so then this guy takes umbrage to me calling ICE secret police or big government. These people just genuinely don't get what they're talking about, and they just think that because the Republicans support it and because Trump says it, then that means that it's small government or it's liberty or freedom. Anyways, so he says, wait, did you just call ICE secret police? What exactly do you think is happening? Do you think Mussolini's black shirts are kicking down doors and kidnapping innocent families? You're so far removed from reality, it's insane. When you break the law, you face consequences. Which is such an out-of-touch response, because, yeah, that is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. I said, yes, ICE raids have happened in my neighborhood. Big white vans that take people away. Then they put them in concentration camps. That is what they do. They come in. I see them all the time. They're in their big unmarked white vans. They close down the whole streets. They surround people's houses with cop cars. Sometimes you hear the helicopters and dogs. It's bad. It's dystopian and it's scary. It does happen. It's happened in my neighborhood. I've seen it, and I don't know. How can you say you're for small government while supporting people being rounded up into white vans and taken away? So I said, this is big government, and you support it. You don't have to wait until millions are exterminated in gas chambers before calling it what it is. So yeah, so this guy says the two aren't even related, referring to big government and ICE camps. He had retweeted some other guy talking about Obama and what have you. And so I said, I like how you just retweeted that lame attempt at whataboutism instead of addressing the fact that you support big government prison camps. Like you can't just keep saying that I'm a Democrat and Democrats do stuff too, so that means it's all okay. I mean, no, I'm not a Democrat, so there you go. And so he says those two aren't even related. And I said, which two? Because I don't know what he's talking about. Small government for all supports big government prison camps, and the only response I've gotten is, but the Democrats. So I'm not a Democrat. I don't support the vast majority of that party, so you got to come up with something better. And then he said, and then he gets there and starts mocking me for calling them prison camps, saying, oh, well, people are sneaking into the country illegally. Have you not even paid attention to the videos from the facilities, he says. So this is his defense of the prison camps where children are being detained. No worse than the actual prisons we use to house the worst of our criminals. Please cut the melodrama. I said prison shouldn't be that bad either. The Bill of Rights bans cruel and unusual punishment. You're okay with big government putting children in prisons you say are fit for the worst of the worst. That's how you see children just because they were born in a different country. That's big government. That's there's nothing that you can. I don't support big government, but I do support children being rounded up in big white vans and taken to government facilities to never be seen again. Come on, okay. So this is just a piss poor excuse. It's incredible that you think it holds water. You support big government, just admit it. I said, so then I pushed the envelope a little bit in the hypotheticals, which I normally don't like to do. I said, would you support rounding up white immigrants from the UK or Europe, or is it just non-whites? To which now he's backed into a wall. So he says, if they were here illegally. So then a friend of mine chimes in, um, back to his prison statement, where he says, no worse than the actual prisons to house the worst of our criminals, which are bad. And he says, you haven't seen other countries' prisons, have you? Education, healthcare, recreation, showers, absolutely terrible conditions for these kids who will only be in them for a month. I said, this guy supports locking children in prisons we use to house our worst criminals, and yet still thinks he's for small government. Fuck due process, right? Fuck amnesty. What are we, some kind of land of opportunity? How many British people are in the camps? I said, you literally just compared the camps to our worst prisons and are now saying it's cool to put children in there for a whole month. So keep claiming you're for small government. And then, my friend chimes in back in to tell him he's focusing on propaganda and not real life because it makes him feel better, which is true. And um and so then this guy pulls in AOC to the conversation saying, "Oh, and you listen to AOC, I'm sure, crying outside of parking lots, nothing but crocodile tears." I said, "There are plenty of undocumented immigrants from Europe. They just never get rounded up by ICE, and none of you ever single them out for being criminals. I wonder why that is." He says, "I would. Thanks for playing, though. I'm not buying any of more of your fake ass outrage." So that's the end of my screenshots for now. So let's take that into consideration. Let's take what exactly all that means. So this conversation started by him defending, yelling, "Send her back" about Ilhan Omar, an openly racist and xenophobic chant, a fascist chant that the president of the United States was encouraging. So this guy starts off the conversation by saying that's absolutely fine because she's an immigrant and she should have to worry about the government coming to get her because she's an immigrant. I call him out on that, and the conversation goes very quickly from uh, the ICE is fine to ICE isn't really big government to I'm fine with ICE being big government because you should have to be born in America to live in America. So even if you're English, you should be rounded up and put into camps. So instead of being self-reflective and looking at, oh, hey, maybe I have some reductive and stupid ideas about things, they're going to double down and say, oh, yeah, no, I have to support ICE. Donald Trump supports ICE, so I'm going to support ICE, even if it keeps getting worse, even if it comes after me because my dad's dad was born in England and that makes me not fully American. And yeah, it could get to that. So, yeah, at the end of the day, this is just another example of people on the right trying to make up their own facts, trying to change definitions of words and of phrases to mean whatever they want them to mean, to push their own propaganda, to gaslight, because they want a world where they want a white ethno state. They've said that themselves. You have people like Richard Spencer who say it out loud. But then you have all the people like Donald Trump and these, super brave anonymous Nazi accounts on Twitter that agree with that. But and they want to say it in all these other different ways. Like what is this person's end game? Oh yeah, I agree. English people, everyone should be rounded up into camps. Or you could just say no, no one should be rounded up into camps at all. You know, um, and if people like that would totally start flipping their shit if white people started ending up in the camps. I caught him, and he didn't know how to respond, so he had to double down on his fascism and say, "No, I hate everyone who's an immigrant, regardless of the color of their skin." uh, um, so yeah, I mean, ICE is big government. You know, there's no two different ways of looking at it, and this is yet another example of the right accusing the left of stuff that they are guilty of, saying, "No, you guys are the ones who support big government because you want to give people health care and education." So this is just another example of the right, um, you know, trying to say that they support small government and individual liberties while pushing for more fascism. It's just doublespeak, and that's what they specialize in. And this is just one of many examples. I can do a few more of these segments here, uh, where it's just phenomenal. And it's not just the right wing that does this. Everybody can engage in bad faith arguments and in um, gaslighting. But the right has like a particular skill for it, where that's pretty much all they do because they know that their um, ideas are not popular, and they have to disguise them. They have to dress them up, by saying, "No, we're for small government and individual liberty and everybody living the American dream, while the crazy loony lefties are for raising everyone's taxes and taking your money away from you." It's half truths and it's lies and it's gaslighting. So yeah, I'm still going to ramble a little bit. Hopefully this was cool. Hopefully you guys like this sort of content. Let me know if you do or don't. Yeah, I've got a couple other ones I could do in the future. So yeah, I'm Walter Sapadeli. Be sure to like and subscribe or whatever, and follow me on Bandcamp and SoundCloud because I mostly do music. Okay, thank you.